For the Climate Discussion Nexus, I'm John Robson, and welcome to the latest readout video based on our Wednesday Wake Up newsletter. And yes, I'm a real person again, not a cartoon, although some might say otherwise. Undaunted, we proceed, including on Rumble, where we're Climate DN, and be sure to search in channel, not videos, to make sure you find us. Also, I want to let you know that we're working on a video on the uncanny way that net zero in the West seems to dovetail with China's 100-year marathon project for world domination, so stay tuned for that one. Stay tuned also for some real sacrifices, because as Massachusetts Undersecretary for Climate Change David Ismay recently blurted out at a meeting of the Vermont Climate Council that he apparently thought would stay private, quote, 60% of our emissions that need to be reduced come from you. The person across the street, the senior on fixed income, right? There is no bad guy left, at least in Massachusetts, to point the finger at, to turn the screws on and, to break their will so they stop emitting. That's you. We have to break your will, end quote. He then added, quote, I can't even say that publicly, end quote, but he just did. So don't say you weren't warned about the intention to break your will and your lifestyle. Not John Kerry's, though. We praised him last week, but now he's back in the news because video has surfaced of him flying in a private jet in 2019 to accept a climate award in Iceland. And when he was questioned, he said, the rules are different for big shots like me. Quote, I can't sail across the ocean. I have to fly to meet with people and get things done, end quote. You, on the other hand. Mind you, he did claim that he was buying carbon offsets from the people who don't need to go anywhere or aren't going to get anything done. But the math on that is mighty suspicious, as Ron Barmby explains in a piece we discuss on our blog. And speaking of suspicious math, we focused this week on a chart showing a very strong link between temperature changes and atmospheric CO2 in the 20th century. Alarmists went, gotcha! But in fact, what atmospheric scientist Wei Zhang discovered is that there's an almost perfect correlation between CO2 levels and the adjustments that NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, or GISS, makes to the raw temperature readings. You heard that right. Zhang did a regression analysis of atmospheric CO2 and the fiddles by the NASA outfit that was initially directed by James Hansen and later by Gavin Schmidt, and he found a fit of 0.82. And that's on a scale where 0 would mean the adjustments were purely technical with no agenda, and 1 would mean they were torturing the data until it shrieked, carbon dioxide did it! So now GISS better talk and talk fast, because otherwise the entire correlation between CO2 and warming in the gold standard American land records is an artifact manufactured by climate alarmist zealots. There's lots more in the newsletter, of course, from the news that the Pentagon will have to fight climate change using fossil fuels, just like John Kerry, to allegations that the environmental movement is racist. As Edmund Burke warned, birds of prey are not gregarious. And then we've got The Guardian saying that the debate on climate has ended again. Où sont les neiges d'antan? Oh, right. They're out your window. And on our channel, just like those tropical islands not disappearing despite what journalists say, scientists say. And from CO2science.org, we've got some lettuce loving light and CO2. Hey, at least it's not eggplant this week. And also some good news about malaria in West Africa, which is that although the situation is very bad, climate change will not make it worse. And speaking of our channel, as I said, we're now on Rumble as well as YouTube, and we're still on Twitter and Facebook, though we do urge you to sign up for our newsletter just in case we get deplatformed and need to be able to reach you by email to say where we've resurfaced. For the Climate Discussion Nexus, I'm John Robson, in person and without a private jet. So, please send us money to keep us afloat wherever we are.